Hi everyone, welcome back to this series of PMP practice questions, particularly from the PMBOK 7th edition, which is the latest edition of the project management body of knowledge. And this is a great way to prepare for your exam, the most up-to-date knowledge from the most up-to-date book. We've got 10 scenario-based questions out of a total of around 100 to 150 questions. Really great way to prepare. Some of them a little bit tricky as well. Let's get into the first one. You're working in an Agile team who are trying to break down the project requirements and the scope. They have created a scope statement and a work breakdown structure, excellent, but are not sure how it will work now that they're using sprints and user stories. Okay, so is this about how to use a work breakdown structure sort of a tool, or that way of working in an Agile way of working as well? Because it definitely can fit. We might just call it something different, for example. So what will we do next? Okay, assign activities to each of the scope items in the work breakdown structure and place them on a Gantt chart. That's what we do in a traditional project, and it certainly can work in an Agile project as well. It might be our product roadmap, but we just put it in the view of a Gantt chart in a project schedule. So there's our items over time. So maybe, let's see what else we have just in case. Create a product roadmap with the team using the lowest, most detailed part of the work breakdown structure. Usually a product roadmap would be the feature level, so like a high level, not the most detailed level. Most detailed level is the user stories usually. So I think maybe a maybe for that one, or a low maybe a no. Group the work by large themes of customer value, such as shown as epics. That sounds promising. And then break them down into smaller user stories to complete in each sprint. And that's exactly it. So we've got our features and we break those down into user stories, and then we place those in the sprints, and that's the Agile way of working. And that's the way we do similar work breakdown structure, or a decomposition of our work. I think that's actually really good. Let's see what else we have. Ask the team to trace the requirements properly using a requirements traceability matrix. Also good practice, but probably not what we're after here. I think the best answer for us is answer C. Excellent work, all right. One way to identify scope is identifying the themes of customer value associated by a common factor such as functionality. So we're sort of releasing a usable feature, ideally, of customer value. Could be data source, or it could be security level. How are we grouping this thing together? These are shown as epics, which are too big to complete in one sprint, and we have smaller user stories which we can complete in one sprint within those. Page 84 under scope decomposition. Wonderful. And that's, again, direct from the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. Direct learning, too easy, wonderful way to do it. How did you guys go with that one? I think that was actually pretty good. Let's go. Let's see what we've got next. Your project team are trialing an Agile way of work. The product owner has a clear vision for the product. There is confusion in the team as to how much work should be done on a user story before it's taken to the sprint review, and how they will know that a story is complete. What will you do next? Okay, trialing an Agile way of work, not sure how we know when it is done. This sounds to me like the definition of done. And there's definition of ready, and there's definition of done. Definition of ready is how we know that work can begin on an item, and that might be at different stages as well. So how is it ready for our analysts, or to get the requirements? How is it ready to be developed? How is it ready to be tested? There's different levels, and it doesn't have to be complex. We can make it very simple, but each section usually has a definition of ready, and each section has a definition of done. How do we know when it's complete? So is there something like that here? There is, looks good. Refer to the user story acceptance criteria. That's wonderful. And your team's definition of done. I love that one. Let's see what else we have just in case. Review the user story with multiple users to ensure it's correct. Yeah, that's probably a good practice. Might be part of our definition of done, actually. So, it's a maybe. Ask the product owner to sign off on the completed user story. That's also good practice. Because the customer is then accepting that item. But again, that's going to be part of our definition of done. Ensure quality testing on the user story is completed and passed, also good practice. These are all great answers, but the best answer for our purposes, let's go with answer A. All right, wonderful. Different ways to describe component completion include acceptance or completion criteria, technical performance measures, and the definition of done. Quality testing will be done to the acceptance criteria, as will the product owner sign off. So it all feeds into that acceptance criteria, into that definition of done. Page 85, completion of deliverables in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. Wonderful work. How did you guys go? Did you beat me to that one? That was, pretty straightforward. I really like that. A little bit of Agile-centric wording there as well, which we're going to see more and more of. All right, let's get into the next question. You've been working closely with the quality manager of your project, planning the budget for the project phase that's due to begin in the next 2 months. Sounds like a waterfall project. They mention the need to budget for appraisal costs to avoid quality issues in the future. What will you do next? Okay, the cost of appraisal, there's different types of costs. Cost of prevention for quality. So the cost of quality, prevention costs, appraisal costs, there's failure costs if we catch a defect, and there's internal and external failure. So if we catch a defect before it reaches the customer, it's internal. If it reaches the customer and it's a failure, in the quality, then that's external failure costs. The worst kind and the most costly as well. So appraisal costs, we're appraising, we're reviewing, we're checking. This is our testing phase. So let's see what we've got here. Ensure there's enough for training. I think we've had that in a previous question. That's probably preventative. So we're preventing quality issues by training people for the future. So it's a good practice, but not for us. Ensure there's enough for a quality tester to verify the deliverables against the agreed specifications. That sounds pretty good from our testing point of view. Ensure there's enough to create a quality assurance plan. I mean, maybe as well, but probably not as direct as this one. So I still like be better, I think. Ensure there's enough to allow for rework or rectification when defects are found. And so that's our failure costs there. So we'll put a no for that one for now. And I think even though these two are both good, let's go the best one, answer B, let's go with that one. Wonderful work, all right. This question is on the cost of quality. Prevention costs are training or quality planning. Appraisal costs, so there we go, that's maybe prevention instead, so that's good to know. Appraisal costs are verification or audits. Internal failure is waste, defects, and rework. External failure is customer complaints, repairs and servicing, and warranty claims. Again, direct from the PMBOK Guide, that answer. Page 89, cost of quality. A really great way to learn and a great way to do it. How did you guys go with that one? I thought that was pretty good. We're really getting through these. You're doing a great job. Let's see what we've got next. Your Agile project has recently had multiple quality issues. Project features have been prioritized by the product owner and broken down into user stories. What will you do to help reduce the cost of quality issues the most? Okay, so it seems like everything is going, quite well from an Agile way of working perspective. What will you do to reduce the cost of quality issues the most? Okay. Quality test each user story according to its acceptance criteria before release. I think that's pretty good. That's what we were looking at before. That's that quality testing, that appraisal costs. But I wonder if there's something better or earlier that we can do here. Let's have a think. Advise the team that any quality defects will come out of their bonus. That's a pretty harsh way to do it. And, maybe that will work for a little while, but also it's pretty harsh. You might sort of lower the engagement of the team. I mean, it could work, but I don't love that answer. There's probably a better answer in there somewhere. Perform testing all in one go at the end to reduce the cost of testing resources. For an Agile team or for any team, this is a particularly Agile project, but we test at all levels. So at the unit test, system test, user acceptance test, and regression testing. So quality is everyone's responsibility in an Agile team from the very beginning to the very end. So that's a no. So far, this is the best one. Ensure a triad of developer, oh, this sounds promising, tester and customer is involved during the requirements and design. So reducing quality issues. I mean, testing definitely is good, but here, quality issues, we're sort of catching it before it becomes an issue. So we're getting the testers involved, we're getting the customer involved, we're getting the developer involved, and we're making sure that things are correct from the very beginning. This actually could be the answer D, because we're, there's different stages. From the very beginning, our requirements and acceptance criteria, then goes into the development, then it goes into testing. But if we're catching all of those defects during testing, they have to go back to here, and it's more costly than doing it at the beginning. So when we're doing it and getting it all right from the very beginning. So this is pretty tricky. It could be either one, A or D. But if we're going to reduce the cost of quality the most, let's go with answer D. Okay, cool. That could have gone either way, so that was a little bit tricky. This question is about the cost of change. Let's see if we get some tips here. The cost is least during the requirements and design, okay, and is 20 times during the build, 50 times during test, and 150 times if a defect has to be rectified in production. So this is a good point. If we catch it early on, it actually is quite easy to fix. So we can say, oh, that's a little bit wrong. It might just be a wording change in the acceptance criteria. But by the time we've developed it, now we have to change that acceptance criteria and redevelop it. And then by the time we get to testing, we have to do all of those things and retest it. And if it gets to the customer, it's even worse again. So that's why the cost increases over time as these things, as we go through the process of our project, which is very handy to know. So that's actually really good. If the requirements, design, and acceptance criteria is incorrect, extra quality testing won't help. Now that's a good point as well. Page 90 under the cost of change. That was pretty good. I actually learned quite a bit with that one. How did you guys go with that one? That was, that was pretty good. I'm definitely learning a fair bit here. And again, direct from the PMBOK guide, so handy to know. All right, next question. You're working in an Agile team where executives in the team you're delivering to are asking for a large display of reports to be created every 2 weeks, showing how the project is tracking and updating them on the cost and benefits. What will you do next? Okay, large display of reports. Is there another way to do this? We're in an Agile team. Can we have an information radiator? So, a large visual display, our Kanban boards, burn down charts, our risks, all in the one place so people can pull that information and see it at any time. Let's see what we've got. Collect the planned value versus earned value to show the executives any variance in the plan. I think there might be a better answer than that one. Co-locate the team with the executives so they can answer any questions as they arise. That actually could be a good idea. Anytime we're co-located, we just pick up information. So, they would be learning by osmosis, which we're hearing a lot. You're picking up conversations, things are going on, they can hear it directly. That's a pretty good answer, but maybe not the best one. Suggest a demonstration of the feature developed during each sprint instead, and a burn down chart of future product releases. Right, okay, so we're not going with a big visual area, we're going with a direct demonstration, so a sprint review, for example. What did we complete? What did we create? What value are we creating? And here it is, we're going to demonstrate it and show it to you, right here and now. Plus the burn down chart of future product features. So we've got product features coming up and we're completing them over time. That's actually pretty good. So it's a high level burn down chart. All right, yeah, that's actually pretty good. And it's definitely Agile centric, that one. Create the desired reports for the executives to keep them happy. I think out of all of these, let's go with answer C. Wonderful work, all right. The value of measurements is not in the collection and dissemination of the data, but it's how to use that data to take action, to take appropriate action. So that's really handy to know. Sometimes you'll be working in companies and they just create reports for the sake of creating reports. Has that ever happened to you? maybe not you directly, but someone you know perhaps. Agile projects demonstrate value and features delivered. So we're demonstrating the actual item itself, the real customer value. And we use live information, radiators, instead of large reports to stakeholders. Page 94 under Measurement Performance Domain. And that's again, PMBOK Guide 7th edition, it's right there. Very Agile centric. So now, as you can see, we're starting to get a lot more Agile questions there. How did you guys go with that one? All right, I think that was pretty good. Let's go to the next question. Multiple features have been released, but they are not having the effect that the product owner believes they should. Your team are using some key performance indicators, KPIs, to track performance, and you agree to move to more leading indicators. Okay, what could you use as examples of leading indicators on your project? So we've got leading indicators and lagging indicators. Lagging indicators are things that have happened, so information that's already happened, work that's already happened. Leading indicators is how do we figure out what's going to happen in the future? And that can actually be very tricky. So let's see what we've got here. It's usually around, do we have the right processes in place, or do we have, the right requirements, for example? So it's a little bit more fuzzy, but let's see. An increase in customer usage once the feature is released, that's lagging, such as sales and repeat purchasing. We'll put a no for now. Stakeholders who are not engaged and a lack of a risk management process. So definitely, disengaged stakeholders will lead to poor performance in the future. That is a leading indicator. And again, it's a bit fuzzy, but it's still leading. So that's actually pretty good. Velocity of the work completed in each sprint and cycle time of the user stories. Now that is work completed again, so it's already happened, it's lagging. If we can use it to forecast, but it's still a lagging indicator because it will change as things as we're completing those things and updating the user stories and the cycle time. Variance in the schedule between planned and actual time taken, again a lagging indicator. I think for all our purposes, let's go with answer B here. All right, great work. There are two types of KPIs, leading and lagging. Leading predict changes or trends in the project and include a lack of a risk management process, stakeholders who are not engaged, poorly defined project success criteria. Oh, that's a good one. How many times have we been working on a project and we actually don't know what success looks like? So everyone has a different version of it, and now that also leads to disengagement. Lots of leading indicators there. Lagging indicators include work completed or schedule variance. Page 96, leading indicators in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. All right, I think that was another good one. Now we're getting into metrics and measures. There's a whole section on metrics and measures in the PMBOK Guide as well, so that's really good to know. And we're more than halfway through this section, so you're doing a wonderful job. We've only got a couple to go. Let's see what we've got next. You're working in an Agile project team that has increased in size and complexity since the project began. In reviewing the throughput of work with your team, you notice fewer and fewer user stories being completed. So we've got an increase in size and complexity, and now the work is starting to go down. And the roadmap of features scheduled to go live is being pushed out. So our schedule is being pushed out. So what are we going to do next? So can we reduce the complexity here somehow? Place a limit on the work in progress and work with the team to reduce the cycle time. Okay. Agile team, that's certainly an Agile-centric wording there. So the work in progress, that could work from a context switching perspective. So if we've got too many things that we're working on and we're switching between these every day, then it takes time to get back up to speed on each different feature. So it's actually pretty difficult. It takes more time there and increases the complexity, just in that context switching. But if we've only got one thing that we're working on or two things that we're working on here, then that's a lot easier for us to just focus and push through and get it done. That could be the one, but let's see what else we have. Increase meetings with the team. Okay. Definitely not. I don't know if you've seen recently Elon Musk in Twitter sending that notice out to all of his staff. He's basically reduce meetings, get rid of meetings, only meet if you absolutely have to. And that is also good practice. So we're certainly probably let's not do that one for now. According to Elon Musk. Ask the team to work overtime until the number of features reduces. And actually this is anti-agile because we don't really want peaks and troughs. We want a sustainable pace. So we have sick days here and over burnout here. That is a terrible way to run a project, for various reasons. But if we've got a sustainable pace, then everyone's there often all the time, just completing work and engaged in the project. That's the way we want to work, I think. So that's a no for now. Put a pull system in place where the team can pull work only when they are ready. And that's actually pretty good, except here's what will happen. They will have, they'll get blocked on a piece of work, and instead of just focusing 100% on it and unblocking it, they will pull a new piece of work. And then all of a sudden, we've got too much work in progress. So that is a lot of agile stuff going on here, which is quite wonderful, and the reasons why we do it. So I think for our purposes though, out of all of those options, let's go with answer A. Okay, great work. With more work, different tasks, and increased complexity, the team are likely context switching between too many different things. Kanban aims to limit the work in progress to avoid that context switching and multitasking. Other things we can use are reducing queue size and batch sizes and reviewing process efficiency. All right, so those are other things, and that's actually pretty good to know as well. Page 99, what to measure under delivery in the PMBOK Guide, 7th edition. Wonderful work. All right, how did you guys go with that one? You're doing great, only 3 to go in this little section. You're working on an Agile project where the project customer wants a reliable way to measure the project performance. And you first need a baseline. Ooh, this is good. What measures will you show to your customer as part of your Agile project? Okay, so this is good. What do we measure in an Agile project? Should be pretty straightforward. And this is what we show to our customer. Oh, this is tricky because team velocity, I see, is an Agile, thing that we do for measuring, but we try and keep that within the team. We don't really show that to our customer because it's an internal team measure. Start and finish dates, maybe, but probably better. To our customer, the rate of features completed. So here's our feature, here's our next feature, and here's what we're delivering. Here's the value that we're delivering to you as the customer. I think Agile-wise, we're going to go with answer C. Schedule and cost variance, more of an old waterfall way of working, and again, an internal team measure. Let's go with answer C. Wonderful work. An Agile project tracks and demonstrates the actual features delivered. With a stable team, cost is most often fixed. Oh, so that's good to know. Not really cost variance because cost is fixed. Our team is stable. We just deliver features until we run out of money. The schedule is also fixed and the scope is variable depending on what the customer wants to prioritize in the given time. So the scope is the thing that changes. Page 100 under baseline performance in the PMBOK Guide. Wonderful work, guys. How did you guys go with that one? Did you beat me to that one as well? Possibly. I think we're getting pretty good at these. All right, last 2. The product owner has worked with a team of senior users to gather feature ideas. They now have a list of more than 50 ideas for your team to develop, which is far too many to complete in the time frame that you have. What will you do next? And what do we do if we've got too much work and not enough time? We prioritize the things, so the most highest value and potentially the least effort or the easiest things to do. So what are those things? Let's do them first, and over time we'll be delivering the lower value items as well if we get there, but first the highest value items. So let's see if we've got that here, and I can see it already. So ask the new product owner to prioritize the features using cost to benefit. That's one way to do it, so pretty good. And then deliver in their priority order until the time all the money runs out. That's definitely the way that we're going to go. What else do we have just in case? Start work on the smallest features first. Again, we want highest value, so that's a no. Ask the product owner to return and ask for a shortened list. we can have a long list, but we just prioritize it with the highest value. Workshop the features with a wider audience. That could get messy and get a completely diverse view on their priority. We actually want the product owner to own this and be the one person who decides. So people have to convince the product owner, not the other way around. And so because of that, because they have the deciding factor, we can move much faster. We don't have to get a cast of thousands. So again, that is a no. Let's go with answer D. Wonderful work. Product owners prioritize features based on business value. Metrics that measure business value include cost to benefit ratio, planned to actual benefits delivery, return on investment, and net present value. So all of those things, good metrics to know. Page 102 under business value in the PMBOK guide. Wonderful work. We made it to the last question. We're nearly there. You're doing great, and this has been some good learning for me, I know that. Let's do this last one, and we're nearly there. Your Agile project team has only recently formed. The product is still unclear, and there have been disagreements and minor conflicts over the past 2 weeks as the team find their rhythm. What would you would like things to improve, but you can't quite pinpoint or address the problem. What will you do next? So do we need to problem solve with our team? Probably again, Agile-wise, what do we do? Retrospectives. So if we're stuck, we hold a retrospective, we find out what is challenging us, what's not working well, we get that feedback, take actions, and we problem solve and move forward from there. So let's see what we've got. I see there's a retrospective here. Have the team complete a net promoter score. That's interesting. With comments, so that's just 1 to 10. How am I enjoying my time in the team? For example, usually it's would we recommend it to a friend, but it can be adjusted for any situation. It's like a customer satisfaction measure, and ask for improvement ideas at the next retrospective. Net Promoter Score is an interesting choice here, but look, I think we could roll with that, especially with the comments. And then the retrospective is the real key, where inviting that feedback, improving our process. I don't see it anywhere else. So hold a workshop with your team and ask them why they're unhappy. Maybe, but that could just turn into a miserable session, where people are just complaining. We're not actually improving. So pretty important there. Raise the issue with their line managers and ensure that everyone is working on the issue. We actually have to work on the issue ourselves and work with the team. Have the team pair up together so they can learn from each other. That's a great practice, but it's probably, there might be other things that we need as well. That might actually come out of our retrospective as an action. So let's go with answer B. All right, great stuff. Measuring stakeholders can be done with a Net Promoter Score or a satisfaction score, especially with a comment or a mood chart. So that's pretty good to know. Improvement ideas are captured during retrospectives for most Agile teams. Pairing is another Agile practice, but it's not as relevant here, at least initially. And again, we might get to that stage after some improvement information or decisions. Page 103, measuring stakeholders. And you know what else we're going to get to is the very end of this little section of questions. You've done an amazing job. But more importantly, I really, truly believe that you're doing the right thing and that you can pass your PMP exam. What you're doing is so important because projects are everywhere, and this preparation will set you up for the rest of your life. You're doing a wonderful job. Keep going, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.